Have you ever noticed how sometimes it's not what you say, but how and when you say it that truly makes a difference? Now imagine this. You're talking to someone, and with just one sentence, one simple, well-timed phrase, something changes. Her eyes soften. She leans in slightly. There's a pause. And suddenly, you're not just another face in the crowd. You're someone she remembers. It's not because you look like a movie star. It's not about money or status or trying to be the funniest guy in the room. It's because your words touch something deeper. They stirred an emotion she didn't expect, but couldn't ignore. You see, attraction isn't about performing. It's about connecting. Real connection happens not on the surface, but beneath it, in the emotional space we rarely show to just anyone. And the good news is, you don't need cheesy pickup lines or slick rehearsed jokes. What you need is presence, insight, and the right words at the right moment. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 powerful phrases, but these aren't tricks. They're not manipulative tactics or scripts meant to play games. They're tools, grounded in psychology, emotion, and how human connection actually works. And when you understand how to use them, not to impress, but to express your values, your presence, your truth, something amazing happens. You stop chasing, and she starts remembering. Each phrase I'll share with you is designed to leave an imprint, not on her inbox, not on her schedule, but in her mind, and more importantly, in her heart. When you speak from this place of grounded strength, women feel like they've discovered something rare in you, something they don't want to lose. So if you've ever felt like you're tired of being overlooked, if you've ever wondered why you always end up in the friend zone, or why real connection feels so rare, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not powerless. Because once you learn how to speak in a way that awakens curiosity, respect, and emotional attraction, you don't just change how others see you. You start changing how you see yourself. So let's begin. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about revealing the best version of who you already are and learning how to express it in a way that resonates. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone made you feel truly seen? Not for your looks, not for your job title, but for something real. Something that made you feel different in the best way? Most of us walk through life feeling a little invisible, especially women. Sure, they might get plenty of attention. You're so pretty. I love your dress. You look amazing tonight. But let's be honest, how often do those compliments actually mean anything? They're routine, recycled, shallow. And even if they're well-intentioned, they don't stick because they don't touch anything deep. They don't reach the part of her that truly wants to be known. That's why one of the most powerful things you can say is this: you have a unique way about you. I like that. Now think about those words for a second. They're simple, they're calm, but they carry a surprising amount of weight. Why? Because unlike the usual flattery, this phrase does something rare. It acknowledges her essence, not just her appearance. It tells her that you see something, even if you don't spell it out. And that's what makes it so compelling. Because now her mind starts to wander. What did he notice? Was it the way I laughed? The story I told? The way I explained something I'm passionate about? That curiosity creates a powerful emotional loop, and she starts connecting with you on a level most people never reach. Here's the key though. This phrase only works when it's real. You can't just throw it out like a trick. You've got to mean it. Say it in a moment that matters. Maybe when she's sharing a childhood story, or she gets animated about a topic she loves, or even when she says something unexpectedly clever. You pause, you breathe. You hold her gaze for just a second, not in a creepy way, but in a grounded, present way. And you say it gently. You have a unique way about you. I like that. It's not a performance. It's recognition. And women, real women, crave that more than most men realize. Because underneath all the attention, all the noise, what most women long for is to be seen for who they are. Their thoughts, their quirks, their confidence, even their awkwardness. When you speak to that part of her, everything changes. She softens. She opens up. She starts leaning in, not because you impressed her, but because you noticed her. Here's a personal story. A friend of mine used this line, completely unplanned, on a date. They were talking about music, and she started describing how she builds playlists to match every mood. He looked at her, smiled, and said, "You have a unique way about you." I like that. She didn't say much in that moment, just smiled and kept going. But the next day, she brought it up again. Why? Because it stuck. It meant something. That's the power of a phrase that makes someone feel seen. Not for what they show, but for who they are. And here's the beauty. You don't have to explain it. Don't follow it up with, "Oh, I meant," or "because you did this." No. Let it breathe. Let her wonder. Let the mystery work in your favor. Because it's in that curiosity, that quiet tension, where connection lives. So next time you're in a real moment, not trying to impress, but actually listening, and you notice something rare, say it calmly, honestly. You have a unique way about you. I like that. And watch how everything shifts. There's a subtle shift in energy that happens when you stop trying to be liked and start showing what you value. Most men don't realize this, but in so many conversations, especially when they're attracted to someone, they fall into the trap of chasing, trying to say the right thing, agreeing too quickly, smiling too much, hoping that if they're nice enough, funny enough, or charming enough, she'll choose them. But here's the problem with that dynamic. It turns the entire interaction into an audition. And whether she realizes it or not, she feels it. And eventually she loses interest. Not because you're not good enough, but because you're playing the wrong role. Now imagine a different energy. Imagine you're sitting across from a woman, confident, calm, collected. And instead of trying to win her over, you simply say, "I like women who know what they want." That one sentence flips the script completely. It's no longer about you trying to measure up to her expectations. It's about her wondering if she measures up to yours. That shift in perspective, that's what builds real attraction. And it's not about arrogance, it's about clarity. Because let's face it, clarity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who know what they want, who have standards, and who aren't afraid to stand by them. Think about it. How often do we meet someone who actually says what they believe, calmly and unapologetically? When you say, "I like women who know what they want," you're not just making a statement, you're revealing something rare. That you have direction, that you value decisiveness, and that you're not afraid to be selective. Now let's talk timing, because this phrase isn't meant to be thrown around randomly. The best time to use it? When she's showing signs of confidence or clarity. Maybe she's making a bold choice at a restaurant. Maybe she's talking about her goals with passion and certainty. Or maybe she just shared a firm opinion about something important to her. That's your moment. You look her in the eye, give a slight nod, and say it with calm admiration. "I like women who know what they want." Then, and this is crucial, you let it sit. No over-explaining, no nervous laughter. Just let the weight of your words land. Let her feel that you're not seeking her approval. You're sharing your truth. And here's what happens next. She starts thinking, do I come across that way to him? Am I living up to that standard? And that internal reflection? That's where emotional investment begins. Now, I'm not saying this line is magic, but when it's authentic, when it comes from a man who actually values confidence and clarity, it sends a message that most women don't hear often enough, that you're not for everyone, and you don't need to be. And that kind of presence, it's rare, it's powerful, and it leaves a mark. So the next time a woman shows you her strength, her certainty, or her vision, don't just nod politely. Let her know you see it. Say it clearly. Say it like it matters. I like women who know what they want. And watch how the energy shifts. Let's be honest. The world is full of compliments. We hear them all the time. You look amazing. I love your outfit. You've got a great smile. They feel nice for a moment, but they fade just as quickly. Why? Because they only touch the surface. Most compliments are like fast food. Easy, convenient, but rarely satisfying. And deep down, most people, especially women, are craving something with substance. Something that tells them you see more than just what's obvious. That's why this one phrase carries so much power. That's what I like most about you. Now let's break that down, because it's not just the words. It's when you say it, how you say it, and what you're responding to. You see, this isn't the kind of phrase you throw out casually. You don't say it because she made you laugh or because she looks great in that dress, though those things matter too. No, you save this phrase for the real moments, the moments when she's not trying to impress you. Maybe she's sharing something personal, a struggle, a passion, a story that clearly matters to her. Maybe you notice how her eyes light up when she talks about her career, or the quiet determination in her voice when she speaks about something she believes in. That's when you pause. Look at her, not with excitement, but with genuine appreciation, and then say slowly, with sincerity, "That's what I like most about you." And then stop talking. Let the words land. Let the silence carry their weight. Why does this work so well? Because it reflects something almost no one ever says. It says, "I see you," not just the surface, but the essence. It's a mirror showing her the version of herself that maybe even she didn't fully recognize. And that creates a connection that's rare and unforgettable. Here's the truth. Most people feel like they're performing all the time. At work, in dating, on social media, we're constantly trying to be liked. So when someone steps in and sees you for who you really are and says, "That's what I like most about you," it cuts through the noise. It matters. I remember a moment from a conversation I had years ago. A woman was talking about how much she loved volunteering, not in a bragging way, just quietly sharing why it filled her up. And I said, without thinking, "That's what I like most about you, the way you give without needing credit." She paused, and for a moment, something shifted. It wasn't about me being charming. It was about her feeling seen. That's the magic of this phrase. When used authentically, it's not about flattery, it's about recognition. And people don't forget that. But here's the important part. Don't overuse it. Don't make it a trick. Use it when it matters. When she shows you something real, something honest, something hers. And when you do, speak it with calm, grounded energy. Not to get a reaction, but because you genuinely appreciate that part of her. Because the truth is, in a world full of noise and empty praise, being the person who sees the real, that's unforgettable. So next time you catch that moment, that glimpse into her values, her courage, her passion, take a breath, look her in the eye and say, "That's what I like most about you," and watch how it changes everything. Let's talk about confidence, not the loud look at me kind. I'm talking about the quiet kind, the grounded, self-assured presence that doesn't need to prove itself. There's a phrase that embodies this energy perfectly. It's playful, it's bold, and when used at the right time, it creates a spark of intrigue that's hard to resist. "I don't know if you can handle me." Now, before you say it sounds cocky, hear me out. This phrase, when delivered with the right tone and timing, doesn't come off as arrogance. It comes off as a challenge, one that hints at layers beneath the surface, one that says, "I'm not for everyone, and that's okay." Let's break it down. Most people, especially in dating, try so hard to be easygoing, likable, and agreeable. They avoid friction. They play it safe. But here's the truth. Safe is forgettable. Predictable doesn't create attraction. Challenge does. And this phrase, it flips the dynamic instantly. Picture this. She's teasing you. Maybe she says she's tough to impress, or brags a little about how fearless she is. That's your moment. You lean back slightly, smile, not with smugness, but with calm confidence, and say, "I don't know if you can handle me." Then pause. Don't rush it. Don't follow it up with a joke. Just let it hang in the air. What happens next is fascinating. She starts wondering, what does he mean by that? What's beneath his surface? What part of him might actually be hard to handle? Is it your ambition, your emotional depth, your independence, your clarity of standards? That curiosity is gold. Because now she's emotionally engaged. She's not just listening, she's thinking, feeling, wondering. And that's what creates attraction. But Irwano, and this is key, you have to back it up. You can't say, I don't know if you can handle me, and then start acting like every other guy. You can't chase her approval or fold under pressure. Your energy has to match your message. That means being grounded, calm, unapologetic in your truth. It means knowing your own worth so deeply that you don't need her to validate it. Because here's the secret behind this phrase. It only works if it's true. You actually have to believe that you are a challenge, not because you're trying to be difficult, but because you have standards, because you live with purpose, because your energy isn't meant for just anyone. And when you live in that mindset, this phrase becomes magnetic. You're telling her, I'm not here to be easy, I'm here to be real. If you want depth, purpose, and passion, you might need to step up too. And guess what? The right kind of woman will rise to that. She'll lean in, intrigued. She'll start investing more in the conversation because now you're the one she wants to figure out. But remember, timing matters. Use this line in moments of playful tension when she's coming on strong or showing confidence. Delivered too early or without the right vibe, it can fall flat. But used well, it's unforgettable. So next time you feel the moment is right, when she's bold, flirty, or a little too sure of herself, let the words come out slow and steady. I don't know if you can handle me. Then watch her eyes change. Watch her lean in just a little closer. Because now, you're not just another guy. You're the one she wants to understand. There's a moment in every playful interaction where the energy shifts, when things go from lighthearted to just a little bit deeper. And if you know what to say in that moment, you can spark something powerful. Not with pressure, not with ego, but with presence. One of the most underrated yet impactful things you can say is this: I'm not that easy. Now let's talk about why that phrase matters. On the surface, it sounds like a cheeky comeback, something you might say with a grin when she's teasing you or testing how far she can push the boundaries. But underneath, there's something far more powerful going on. What you're really doing is declaring your value. You're letting her know, in a calm, playful way, that your attention, your energy, your time isn't just handed out to anyone. It has to be earned. And that idea, it's incredibly attractive. Because here's the thing, most guys, without realizing it, give themselves away too easily. One compliment from a woman, one flirtatious glance, and suddenly they're bending over backwards to get more. They try too hard, they over-pursue, they lose their center, and the moment that happens, the value dynamic flips. She becomes the one in control, and he becomes just another guy hoping to be chosen. But when you calmly say, I'm not that easy, you break that pattern. You introduce just enough resistance to spark curiosity. You create emotional tension, not in a combative way, but in a way that says, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I'm not rushing to prove it. Now let me be clear. This phrase isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being someone worth getting, someone who isn't just moved by attention, but by intention. So when do you use it? Use it when she's teasing you, throwing out a flirtatious line, or acting like she already has you wrapped around her finger. That's when you let a small, knowing smile cross your face, look her in the eye and say, I'm not that easy, and then pause. Let it hang in the air. Let her feel the weight of it. Let her wonder what it means. Because now she's not just seeing a guy who wants her. She's seeing a man who has standards, a man who knows his worth and won't compromise it just because someone's cute or clever. That kind of energy, it's magnetic. It pulls people in. Not because you're withholding, but because you're anchored. And here's the deeper message you're sending. If you want access to my time, my focus, my presence, show me something real. Be honest. Be intentional. I'm not looking for games. I'm looking for connection. That standard? It raises the bar, not just for her, but for you. Because once you say it, you've got to live it. You've got to carry yourself in a way that backs up those words. No chasing, no over-explaining. Just calm, grounded energy that speaks for itself. Think about it. When was the last time someone made you work a little harder? Not out of arrogance, but because they respected themselves enough to not just give their energy away? That's what "I'm not that easy" communicates. And when said with the right tone, playful but real, it doesn't push her away. It pulls her closer. Because now, you're not just reacting to her. You're setting a standard for how you expect to be engaged. So next time she's turning on the charm or trying to get a rise out of you, smile, stay calm, and simply say, "I'm not that easy." Because being easy to impress, that's forgettable. But being someone who values themselves deeply enough to hold their ground, that's unforgettable. So now that you've seen all 6 phrases, I want you to really take a moment and think about what's happening here. This isn't just about having a few clever lines in your back pocket. It's about changing the way you show up. Because when you speak from a place of calm confidence, when you're grounded, self-aware, and intentional, everything about your presence shifts. You stop chasing attention and you start commanding respect. You move from surface-level conversations to the kind of connections that actually mean something. Each of these 6 phrases is powerful not because of the words themselves, but because of what they represent. They represent clarity, self-respect, emotional intelligence, and most of all, the courage to be real in a world full of performance. Let's be honest, women are used to hearing compliments, but very few of those compliments make them feel seen. And that's where you stand out. Not by trying harder, but by being different. When you tell her, "You have a unique way about you," I like that. You're not talking to her appearance. You're talking to her essence. When you say, "I like women who know what they want," you're setting a standard and inviting her to meet it. When you tell her, "That's what I like most about you," you're recognizing something meaningful and leaving a mark that lingers. When you say, "I don't know if you can handle me," you introduce mystery, confidence, and challenge in one breath. When you calmly offer, "I'm not that easy," you're letting her know that your attention isn't cheap, it's earned. And finally, when you embody all of these without forcing it, she doesn't just remember your words, she remembers how you made her feel. That's the real secret, emotional significance. When someone feels understood, noticed, respected, not just admired, that feeling stays with them. Long after the conversation ends, long after the moment is over. That's what makes you unforgettable. And look, if you're tired of the same results, tired of shallow dating, tired of wondering why you're not standing out, maybe it's time to stop focusing on being impressive and start focusing on being connected. This is about more than attraction. It's about self-worth. It's about stepping into your full presence and learning how to communicate in a way that reflects your truth. That's powerful, that's rare, and that's exactly what this channel is here to help you build. So if this spoke to you, if something in you felt like, "Yeah, this is different, this is what I've been looking for," then I want to invite you to support this mission. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Help us reach more men who are ready to stop performing and start connecting for real. Because when we grow this community, we change lives. Yours, mine, and the next guy who's been stuck in the friend zone for way too long. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, your words have power. Now go use them to make someone feel seen.